Um, all right, pleased to be joined by Ben Johnson, Senior Real Estate Director for the Neighborhood Development Center in St. Paul. And we are here to chat today about some of the communities that Ben serves and also the mission of the NDC. Ben, how you doing today? Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Brian. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Great.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you. I was wondering if you could just, I guess, first start out by talking a little bit about the mission of the Neighborhood Development Center. Just looking at your website, it looks like sort of traces its origins back to the mid 1980s in response to helping revitalize the Rice Street neighborhood and businesses in that area in response to competition from big box stores in neighboring communities. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So Mike Temali founded NDC 30 years ago, like you just mentioned, in the Frogtown neighborhood. And what NDC does is work with neighborhood entrepreneurs to build and create wealth in neighborhoods. And we do that with kind of 4 pillars. The first one is business training. And so we offer business training in different neighborhoods, different communities, and different languages, often in the most lowest income neighborhoods of the Twin Cities, to do a business plan. I believe it's a 12-week course, where one can have an entrepreneurial idea, or actually, I think when NDC was founded, Mike had a few stories about this. You know, often folks were doing businesses out of their garage or under the table, that sort of thing. And so here he saw a way of encouraging the business side of the entrepreneurial side of it, and investing in folks that had been traditionally not invested in or disinvested in, and partnering with them to help build those businesses and profitability. And so the training program was born from that. Then a lending component came along, because often those folks were turned away from traditional banks for capital investment to build those businesses. So we have a lending, so that NDC lending department was formed, and that department does loans. You know, you can get $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 loans, up to $250,000 loans. And now we're even thinking about doing a little bit higher than that, with some second stage business owners are looking to, buy real estate or buy their buildings, and then further creating wealth and even generational wealth that has been lost over the years. So that's on the lending side. And when NDC was started, the loan officers would provide a lot of technical assistance. And as NDC grew, that need grew. And so a business lab TA department was formed. So that's the third pillar. And there we have in-house staff, consultants, volunteers, experts that can help business owners with really any facet of their business to drive profitability, to drive efficiency, marketing. If you need a website done, we have folks that can help with that. If you need legal help, we've got great law firms offering pro bono legal help. We need accounting help. We've got great accountants on staff, and a web of volunteers and outside consultants as well. Architects, design work, financials, really, you name it, and we can find someone that is really ready and willing to help a business become more profitable. And those services are offered to all the to businesses that we work with. And it happens before a loan. It happens, during the business planning, after the loan has happened, and after that. So it's not like here's the money or here's the business plan and see you later. It's the wraparound services that follows the business all the way through. That's really special, and I think the magic of NDC. And the fourth pillar is the real estate department, where where often it all culminizes together. And so for 30 years now, NDC has been investing in dilapidated buildings in the neighborhoods that we work in. You know, a lot of gateway locations like University in Dale, Lake in Chicago, where there's abandoned buildings like the Sears building in Midtown Global Market, or on University in Dale, where historically there's porn theaters and the like, for generation after generation. And in either remodeling those or tearing them down and building new, you know, one, there's a kind of a sense of pride in the neighborhood, investing in those neighborhoods. Two, we will lease those commercial spaces then to the businesses coming through our pipeline. And so, you know, part of this is when the kids are walking down the sidewalk and they look in those buildings, as they see their neighbors or their parents or their friends' parents that are actually own and work at the business. So we call those small business incubators. Mm-hmm. And in Minneapolis, we worked at we own and manage, along with Cultural Wellness Center, Midtown Global Market. We've been involved in Mercado Central for 20 years, and a few years ago, the tenant owners bought that real estate. So that was a dream come true there, a vision come true after 20 years in the making there. Mm. We've had various buildings that we've owned, operated, and sold in St. Paul. Frogtown Square is on the northeast corner of University and Dale. We just finished Frogtown Crossroads, our newest project, on the northwest corner of University and Dale. We have an incubator on the east side at 809 East 7th Street that's particularly focused on the construction industry. So we developed that about 5 years ago after hearing from folks that, you know, subcontractors lacking a professional space to work out of or to meet clients, and to get the workshops and TA to help get city contracts and state contracts, and, you know, managing kind of the back of the house piece when they're out on the job site for 16 hours a day. Seeing if we could help build capacity, help build profitability with that sector. The Midtown Business Centers at University of Dale is our oldest small business incubator. It has 12 community and small businesses. We're renovating that building right now. And so so I manage the real estate. That's my role. I've been doing that for 8 or 9 years. And the goal of the real estate kind of pillar or piece of it is long-term affordable commercial real estate for neighborhood entrepreneurs. And that's what we're focused on. Mm-hmm. We use a variety of finance tools to accomplish that, including new market tax credits in the acquisition and construction of these buildings. We have a long list of great partners in philanthropy, in city, in state, and federal government to support these projects.
It sounds like you have a lot going on there, and on both sides of the river. It's I know from just reading about your history that you started there sort of in that Frogtown area, but obviously you've grown since then. Has I guess, how wide do you cast your net in terms of the communities you serve? Is it primarily just within the core cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, or?
It started there, and we've expanded because, one, we're asked to, and we often, one of the values of NDCs, we go into communities when we're asked, and we partner with community, so we're never just jumping in. And so, you know, the Frogtown neighborhood, east side, all along Lake Street, we've been working on it for years. North Minneapolis, now we're working in Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park. We have some core neighborhoods in our mission that we work in I don't have the list right off the top of my head right now. I could get that for you if you need it.
But it sounds like the common thread here is working with underserved communities
Yeah.
throughout the metro.
Right.
And,
Often, often BIPOC entrepreneurs,
right.
low income entrepreneurs that have been left aside for a long time.
And so you mentioned that space for subcontractors. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And are you serving primarily their like BIPOC businesses, or is that
Yeah, it's all cultures, all cultures in that building. We've got a furniture installer. We've got a heavy duty highway contractor,
hmm,
small. We have an architect. We've got a small mechanical contractor that does HVAC, Native American gentleman, and sheetrock company. And so, you know, it's we're here for everybody. And
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So if somebody calls you, say a small emerging business calls you and says, hey, I'm looking for a location for my business, maybe somewhere in the metro area. I don't have a lot of resources, but I have a business that I'm hoping to grow and sort of establish some roots here. What can you do for them? And first of all, do you get calls like that?
Sure. Yep, we do. We do. And, you know, if I get the call, or we'll have a conversation about kind of where is this a vision? Is this a seed that you just thought of, or do you have a 18-page business plan and have already talked about thought through your target market? Is that often that's where I start, and you know, how far along is the business plan thought through, and then depending on that conversation and timing and their thoughts on timing, you know, I could recommend them to the training class if the business plan needs some fine tuning or sometimes reality checks, right? And then you know, usually if I get a call, it's usually more further along, and the idea is further advanced, and we'll talk about the target market. Honestly, that's because at the end of the day, you need to be where your business needs to be, where your customer is. And if that's in our building, that's great. If that's in Edina, that's great. If that's in South St. Paul or wherever, that's great. Our goal is to help the business become as profitable as possible, so that those profits stay in the community and bring wealth to the community. And so I could talk about availability in our buildings, which sometimes they're full and sometimes they're not. That kind of ebbs and flows as real estate does. And I can talk about opportunities that I know of outside of our organization, just from being in the industry and being in community. Or I'll, you know, often say, do you need a broker? Or, you know, my wife and I had a business years ago, and in a restaurant business. And when we were doing our site search, and the advice I got was, you know, go drive around in the neighborhoods that you know your customers are in, and start knocking on doors and calling landlords, and you know, and spreading the word. And so I give that advice. And also, you know, we do a lot of retail and restaurants and food businesses, and for a brand new startup business to open up and brand in new space and that build out is very, very expensive these days. Construction is high, equipment is high, and for a business to not have tested its kind of marketability or tested its business, its concept, we'll think about, is there any, you know, businesses that have just gone out of business that one can go into, without spending spending maybe 50,000 versus 500,000,
Mhm.
or 20 grand versus 300, and to keep the debt down while the business builds its customer base, right?
Sure. Yeah, it's
Uh,
it it must be especially challenging now for these emerging businesses if they're looking to improve or build out an existing space, given the cost of construction now.
Awful.
It's
Yeah.
a challenge even
Awful.
for established businesses. So,
Yeah. Yep. That's right. So we raise a lot of money, to help businesses with that part of it, so that the debt burden doesn't take all the profits away.
mhm. Can you talk a little bit about the impact of COVID on some of the
Yep.
communities you serve and the businesses you serve?
Yeah. Where to start that? I mean, it's been the most couple of, since March of 2020, it's been the most challenging time in my life, kind of professionally and even mentally, personally, right? It has been some hard days, helping keeping businesses open. So
I mean, there's a lot of
some
it just
business,
pointing them in the right direction for
well, let me just get my thought.
resources that they can tap into and things of
Yep.
that nature.
Yep. So NDC did mobilize our whole team to manage all of the kind of government and city, federal programs that are out there, just to talk to folks in different languages, to help with paperwork and kind of the bureaucracy of it all. We did that, which is great. Processed a lot of grants. We put together a tech program where, because a lot of the businesses, kind of their social media, website, and a lot of businesses relied on having a sale right at your counter, right?
Mhm.
And so that stopped for a
Mhm.
long time. And so the tech program was put together to beef up folks' websites, delivery, online sales, and that sort of thing. And so as I think about what has happened over the last couple of years, we've lost a few businesses, but not a lot.
Mhm.
But the business owners that figured out that second, third, fourth revenue stream could make it, right?
Mhm.
Could keep make, which is could be a wholesale account, it could be online, it could be delivery, pickup. There's a guy helping, selling food at a discount to a homeless shelter because they were such a need, but it's still revenue, right? Coming in. And so helping entrepreneurs, think bigger is what we did. We raised a lot of money to help keep the buildings operational, and invested in cleaning, invested in security.
Mhm.
We kept rents down, offered percentage discounts and rents since March of 2020, which we obviously had to cover for the operations of the buildings, because property taxes are still due. Excel still wants their utility bill, and so
Yeah.
forth, right?
Yeah, certainly a challenging time for
Yes.
everyone. So,
But we're coming out of it, Brian. We are coming out of it, and we're really thinking ahead. We've actually, there's positives here too. So there were some losses, but other entrepreneurs saw opportunities, right? And so we're working with folks coming in the building. We're renovating Midtown Global Market. We've got a $250,000 renovation going on right now. We're investing in security. We got 7 new concepts coming into Midtown Global Market in 2022 at various levels in their stage, and so we're looking forward. We're looking ahead in all our buildings, and thinking about how the economy is different, thinking about how business has changed, and offering and helping business owners with that insight, and to kind of, maybe we've got to look this way or look this way. It might not be the exact same counter sales that's driving the business. It could be 30% that, and helping folks in the back of house get their online sales built, or so we're working hard. Yep.
It has really forced a lot of businesses, I think, to be nimble and creative,
Yes.
and that hopefully will benefit them in the long run.
In the end of the day, there's some efficiencies that people have figured out, and I think if they can hold on, that will yield some profitability. Yep, I agree with that.
Yep. Can you talk, Ben, just a little bit about your own background and your journey to how you ended up in this role? You said at one point you and your wife actually were in the restaurant business. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. So how I got here, I've been in restaurant. I was in restaurants for many years. Worked for D'Amico restaurants for many years. Then I was always doing kind of nonprofit work on the side. And at one point in my late 20s, I'm 40. I'll be 45 next week. I decided that I wanted to flip that. Like if I wanted to do nonprofit work, but I love the business piece of it. And if I want to do business, I could do that on the side. And so I went back to school, finished my undergrad, finished a master's program at the Humphrey, and went to work for a homeless shelter in their food services, where we were doing 1,000 meals a day in 3 or 4 different kitchens. So I brought kind of a business efficiency to that program, which was exciting for me. At the end of that, at the end of that program, working for those folks, I met Mike Temali at University in Dale on a kind of a separate project, and I had never known about NDC, but he told me a little bit about it, and around that same time, my wife was selling French pastries at the farmers markets on the weekends, and she was looking to start a French bistro in the Twin Cities. Her name's Emily Slay, and that's when that site search example. That's kind of when that was happening, and she ended up opening a French bistro and ran that for a few years, and then sold it. I kept the conversation going with Mike Temali, and he asked me, or he told me, he said, I need some help on University in Dale on a real estate project, and also with your restaurant experience and small business experience, this is kind of what we're up to. Are you interested? And I say, yeah, let's see what this is all about. And I'm almost been there 10 years, Brian, and it's the longest place I've ever worked. And so there's the entrepreneurial business piece of it. I mean, I'm in it every day, which is great. And I not only, it's just not just for me, I'm helping hundreds, and I can help I can try to help a lot of folks, a lot of businesses with that experience. And
do you have any idea how many businesses you've served through the years?
Well, yeah, our marketing and communication people have that kind of I can probably get some documents about that. I think it's 400 or 500 a year. I always remember those numbers.
Well, it sounds like you've done a lot of great work through the years and have been able to. It's neat that you've had that experience yourself, both as a business owner and on the real estate side, and now you can use that experience to help
Yeah,
other businesses. So
yeah,
nice.
good fit for me. I'm happy. Yeah, happy to do
Yeah.
it.
So any thoughts about just kind of what the future holds for the NDC? Do you see keep on?
Yeah, we just built a new headquarters, so we moved this winter into a new building
Mhm.
and beautiful new space, and we're planning on growing. I mean, we have a new president at NDC, Renee Dossman.
Mhm.
She's fabulous. She's from Target, and she's been pushing us and to become more efficient and better helping businesses quicker, faster. Mike Temali, the CEO and founder, he's been working for a few years now in different cities around the country, and that program's called Build from Within Alliance, where these cities are looking at what NDC's done in the Twin Cities in the last 30 years, and they're saying, well, why don't you come over here and teach us, show us how it worked in St. Paul and Minneapolis, and so he's doing that in I can't remember how many cities, but 15, 20 cities, I think. Now we were just in Houston, Texas, actually, a few of the senior leadership staff and or the senior leadership staff, and yeah, there's need everywhere for this type of stuff, for this work. So and from a real estate perspective, I mean, real estate is like, if real estate can't stay in the hands of community, it's very challenging for neighborhood businesses to be in the game, right? It's kind of, construction costs are high, interest rates are going up, and the cost of occupancy is high, and from traditional real estate business, they're looking for a return on their investment from a leasing perspective, and maybe not much interest in whether that's Starbucks or the coffee shop that's owned by the couple who lives down the block, right?
Sure.
And so we think that these neighborhoods are better when it's the couple down the block.
For sure. Well, keep up the good work, Ben. Thank you for taking time to chat.
Yep.
And best wishes in your future endeavors there with NDC. So
thanks, Brian.
It's been good chatting with you. So
all right.
I'll
see if I can muscle up a picture for you.
That'd be great. I really appreciate that.
I'm going to send an email to you and Elisa Pluhar, who is our communications person. She might have that, and she also might have some of the more those facts you're asking about that. Sometimes I can't remember.
Yeah. That'd be great. All right. Thanks a lot, Ben. Really appreciate your time.
You bet.
Take care. Yep.